there, fellow Patriots. Welcome back to my channel, Patriots of the American Republic. Apologies that I haven't had a new video up for the past, I don't know, almost 2 weeks now. I've been working on another project, and it's very time consuming. But today's 9/11. I'm recording this on 9/11, and never forget. Right? I know that's a slogan that we like to hear during this time, but it's very true. And the sad part is that a lot of us have forgotten. A lot of our leaders have forgotten. And I'll never forget that day. I saw the towers come down with my own 2 eyes as I was across on the Jersey side. And it was a very memorable moment. Lots of people tragically died by coward terrorists. And our country's never been the same again. Our country was pretty surprisingly united in the day after, and for many months and even a couple of years afterwards. But then we elected a Democratic president who injected poison into this country, and American hatred started to spew everywhere, and it's gotten to the point where it was very, very clear during the 2020 summer of love, right? But anyhow, let's move on. Last night were the debates, was the debate, right? ABC, was it ABC? Yes, ABC hosted the second presidential debate of 2024. It's the second leftist network to host the event. The first was CNN. After watching that, credit to CNN, they were a lot more fair than ABC was. The entire night felt like, instead of being a debate between Trump and Harris, it was a debate between Trump against Harris and the 2 ABC moderators. They tried to fact check in real time Trump, while allowing Harris to spew lies without being checked at all. During this video, we will try and cover as much as we can to combat the bias coming from the left. Right? We all have certain biases, right? But I think we need to be fair. Number one, and these journalists are supposed to be fair. Like, I'm just a YouTuber, right? These journalists are supposed, this is their job. This is what they get paid for. They get paid to not be biased and to just report the news, right? And they're not. They're actually getting paid to be biased, right? So let's start with the first subject matter. Let's start with fact checking. This is what aggravated me last night, was the fact that they fact checked him. Number one, you guys are moderators. You guys are there to ask the questions. That's it. Let these folks respond whatever way they want, and let the people decide whether if they're telling the truth or not, right? Let the people do the research. Let the people, let the analytics, the people who analyze these debates, let them do the work, and then people can view accordingly. It's not your job to fact check. But if you are going to fact check, then you should do it both ways at the very least, so that it's fair. And that's the problem that I have, is that it wasn't done both ways. It was only done against President Trump. So let's take a look. We're not going to look at everything, but let's take a look at some of the videos, or some of the subject matters, right? Or the fact checks that they did.
Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban, because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, "I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks." But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month. is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born.
So there is no law. He didn't say that there was a law. He's essentially saying that if these people get into it, they come into power and they make the changes that they're talking about, they absolutely could, just like the former governor of Virginia did, way back when he touted. And we played that clip, and we're going to play it right now just as a freshly reminder, so that way people who are watching this know that Trump is that Trump isn't lying, right? The guy literally said on a radio show that if after the baby was born, if the mother was undecided whether she wanted to keep, they would make the baby comfortable and then decide what would be happening afterwards. Oh, so you're gonna terminate the baby afterwards? Is that what we're talking about? Check it out here.
If a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mothers.
Those words drew plenty of coverage in the next 48 hours on conservative sites and on Fox News.
Conversation is, should the child live or die?
This is a fully formed human being in the womb.
As you can see, President Trump was not lying, right? So she twisted it to make it seem like, oh, there's a law. Number one, I don't know if there is or if there isn't, but what he was referring to was that specific comment that was not only said by this former governor, but then other people began to murmur and suggest the same thing. And I remember even, I think it was Governor Cuomo of New York, who was talking about doing something similar. So we know how the left works. We know that if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile, right? Let's look at the second fact check.
And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country, and if she becomes president, this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from television.
But the people on television saying their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
So, number one, do you see the expression on her face? These people are so dishonest, right? Because this is the same person that told you that Biden was sharp as a tack, right? That he was absolutely fit to serve. He drops out because he's not fit to serve. As a matter of fact, I've got a big question mark as who's the president right now? Because if he's not fit to go another term, and he's not fit to stand trial, like he was found having confidential I think it was confidential, or what is it? Yeah, I think it was confidential documents from the government, right? Then what's going on here? Either you are competent or you're not. So if he's not competent to stand trial, then or be prosecuted for it, then how is he competent to run the country? If he's not competent to run for the second term, how was it that literally it was like 2 weeks before to a month before he was fine to go on? and they were trying to sell him off as running for his second term. It's just absolutely horrible. Then the second part is, of course, the mayor's going to deny this, but there's evidence to suggest otherwise, and we got to listen to what people are saying on the ground. These people are so detached. These are the same people that said Hunter's laptop wasn't real, that it was a Russian hoax. These are the same people that touted the same misinformation. Why? Because they want to protect their guy or their person, right? Let's watch this video.
These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They're running into... they flipping cars in the middle of the street. And I don't know how, like, y'all can be comfortable with this. Like, I don't know, like, who's getting paid from it. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. You got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there. And I don't even want to, seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants, because it's the people that's bringing them down here. Because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them. And who is getting paid? Like, how much money is y'all really getting paid, to bring them over here? I know it's deeper than them. I know that's where they come from, and that's what they do. That's their country. I don't know what they got going on over there, but they can't do that over here.
What he said about the buses is absolutely true. I saw one with my own two eyes here in Florida. I went to my local Walmart one day. It was a Friday, and there was an old bus, and it was like one of those school buses, but it was really long. It wasn't the same color. And a whole bunch of immigrants, Hispanic immigrants that looked like they were from Central America came on down, and they weren't old. They weren't all women. They were actually all men, and they were all pretty young, and a bunch of them looked like a bunch of gang members. So he's absolutely right. So I have no doubt what this guy's saying. And then he's saying about the ducks. There's pictures to suggest. Again, is it fact? I don't know. Maybe these people, as journalists and reporters, instead of calling a city guy who's on their side, maybe they should do some actual investigative journalism, right? We'll have to wait a couple of days to see if that's actually true or not. If they are lying to the American people like they have been, or if Trump was on the money as he has been, in the past. So let's go on to the next fact check.
And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow. And I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice President Harris,
the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you.
So the FBI says that crime is actually coming down. Well, yeah, the FBI would say a bunch of false stuff as they've done before. I don't believe what they're saying, right? If you change the laws, right, and like in California, instead of being $400 or $500, you raise that up to $900 before you actually start arresting people. Of course, you're going to have a decrease in number, right? If you let people go for the crimes that they're committing, if you have a revolving door, if you will, then of course you're not going to see those. But there's many indicators to say that it is. Just look at the videos of things going on. The other day I saw a video of two guys. They're on a scooter or a motorcycle, a moped, something like that, and they're just driving. This was in New York City. They're driving up behind and either snatching a watch or snatching something. Those are crimes that you see in Central and South America. And being part South American, I would know, right? Those are crimes that are, normally seen over there. I've never, since I've been born in this country, I've never seen that specific type of crime being done here, where you just drive up on your moped on the sidewalk and you just pull and yank something. That's common down, below the border. That's not a common crime over here. But anyhow, next fact check, and the last one that we're gonna touch on, because there's a couple more.
The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls. And we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them
no
Republican.
Judge looked at it.
And said
they said we didn't have standing.
Fraud.
That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The president of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline.
Again, that's a shining moment of what we're talking about, where it feels like it's 3-on-1. What does it matter what he perceives or what he understood or not? Ask the question, get the answer, move on. Unless you're going to do the same thing to her, and there wasn't. So during the night, there were a number of lies spewed by Harris. Fox News was able to count them down and condense a number of them. So let's take a look at that.
I was watching very carefully. Evening, my friend. Now, critics, Trace, said that tonight's debate was overwhelmingly one-sided, thanks in large part to the live fact-checking of one of, but not both, of the candidates. For those of you keeping score at home, fact checks on Trump, 5. I counted 6, but we'll say 5. Harris, bupkis, nothing. Now, there were several claims she made that were not fact-checked by ABC, like that police died on January 6th, didn't happen. Trump's bloodbath comment, totally taken out of context. Find people on both sides, that was obviously debunked. How about Trump's support for Project 2025? The moderators had to know that wasn't true. To say nothing of Harris's claims on Trump's stance on IVF, they missed a chance on that. They also missed a chance to question her on her gun bans and mandatory buybacks. That Mr. Trump, she claimed, disparaged the military, and that no active U.S. military were in a combat zone. That, too, is not true.
So as you can see, there's a number of lies. Let's get into some of the specific lies, right?
Talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook, a bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again.
A bunch of lies. Remember, the left always accuses you of what they're doing, right? She lied throughout the entire night. Let's take a look. Let's just tackle some of these based off of the notes that I took. Project 2025. A couple of months ago, Trump posted a tweet or a retruth, whatever it was. I think it was on X, where he rejected the 2025. He distanced himself. He's like, I don't know anything about this. I don't want to know anything about this. This is not by me, and I have nothing to do with it. So he's washing his hands. So now she's bringing it up tonight, not mentioning, and the moderators didn't bring that up. Well, he denounced that he wasn't a part of that. So why are you bringing that up? They didn't, again, unchecked, right? The pandemic, which was originated in China. All right, so you're acknowledging that it was originated in China. And that actually caused the drop in unemployment that they pushed for. Remember, they pushed for us to shut down the economy. They called Trump xenophobic for wanting to shut down flights from China, and they accused him of being greedy for originally not wanting to shut down the economy. They called for it, and now they're blaming him for the aftermath of it. It's absolutely absurd. Then there's good people on both sides. It's an edited clip, or it stops right when he says it, but there's context. There's a follow-up to it. Let's watch it so that way you guys can see it in the event that you guys haven't.
Since the entire debate was set up so that Kamala Harris could spew a bunch of lies and anything Donald Trump said would be used against him, I mean, what's next? Is she going to repeat the same old tired fake news about Charlottesville and Donald Trump claiming that there were very fine people on both sides? Oh, wait, what's this?
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say?
He condemned the actual Nazis who were there, and there were some, but did make it clear that there were very fine people on both sides of the arguments about whether or not the Confederate statues should or should not be removed from public places.
There were fine people on each side.
A claim so fake that even Snopes, after 7 years, finally did fact check it and admitted the obvious. No, Trump did not call neo-Nazis and white supremacists very fine people. All that it would have taken to realize that obvious fact the day that he made those statements back in 2017 would be to watch a 30-second clip of the press conference regarding the statements in question.
You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay?
I mean, these people are so disgusting. And I expect this, again, from the politicians, but the journalists, that's what really bothers me. The journalists. Let's get into the second lie.
So, Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering what I describe as an opportunity economy, and the best economists in our country, if not the world, have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is Donald Trump's plan would actually explode the deficit. 16 Nobel laureates have described his economic plan as something that would increase inflation and by the middle of next year would invite a recession. You just have to look at where we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that Donald Trump actually has no plan for you because he is more interested in defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
So he has no plan. Yet a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know if it's like that today, but a couple of weeks ago, we went onto her page and there was nothing there. It was just donate money. You go onto Trump's page and he had a list of different things that he wanted to get done and change and address, right? So I sincerely doubt that he doesn't have a plan. That's number one. Number two, who are these economic experts that she's referring to? Like, I get she mentioned some names in there, but who are these specific ones? Because are these the same ones that said that there was going to be no inflation? Are these the same experts that said inflation was transitory? Because if it is, then they really don't have a leg to stand on, right? Trump has a provable track of good economic policies. We experienced it, so it's not like I'm making it up, right? Let's get into the third lie.
Response here, Vice President Harris, on this notion of weaponization of the Justice Department?
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in 2024 is taking place. The United States Supreme Court recently ruled that the former president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed disdain for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails, because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people
Vice President
to stop
Harris,
him.
thank you.
So she's so phony, right? The Constitution or the Supreme Court decision was based on, you know, the president's handling of presidential affairs. It's not regarding crimes that get committed, right? So she's absolutely giving you false information. Weaponizing the DOJ, isn't that what they're doing? They've gone after Donald Trump and many of his supporters. We shared this in a prior video. Michael Flynn, Roger Stone. You know, they've gone after journalists. James O'Keefe, right? They've used the IRS to go and target journalists that they don't like, conservatives that they don't like. They've used I mean, it was just a couple of years ago where the FBI was looking at Catholics as an entire group. We have an entire group of religious people, the Catholics, as dangerous, as radicals, because of their pro-life stance. The majority of them are pro-life stance. It's absolutely ridiculous. Here's the last one, which is absolutely laughable as far as lies.
From the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un. And it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear they can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace. That is why we understand that we have to have a president who is not consistently weak and wrong on national security, including the importance of upholding and respecting in highest regard our military.
So let's break some of that down. So we had no wars during the Trump administration, and we're currently involved in 2 proxy wars between Ukraine and Russia, and then Hamas and Israel. Oh my goodness. So we got 2 current wars happening right now, and we had 0 under Trump, right? None of those countries decided to, as far as Russia or Hamas, none of them decided to invade or attack allies. None of our allied countries got attacked under the Trump administration. And if you want to look at stupidity, incompetence, and weakness, just look at the Afghan withdrawal under the Biden administration, which she tried to blame Trump for when he wasn't even there in office. But I'll tell you what, she says that these dictators are cheering for him. I mean, think of how stupid that is. They're cheering. They're cheering right now because they're able to attack the people that they want to attack. Under Trump, nobody got attacked, so they weren't cheering. They were restricted. They were like, okay, if I were Putin, man, I want to invade Ukraine, but I can't because Trump's there. Think about this. Putin invaded during Obama's administration, doesn't invade during Trump's administration, is invading now currently under the Biden administration, but somehow Trump is the weak foreign policy. Okay, it was just a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of days ago, that Putin came out and said that he endorses Kamala. Let's check this out.
It's an endorsement. U.S. Vice President and Democrat presidential candidate Kamala Harris doesn't need one from Russian President Vladimir Putin. Speaking on the sidelines of the Eastern Economic Forum on Thursday, the Russian leader jokingly endorsed Harris for president.
We had the current president, Mr. Biden, as our favorite, if I can call it that, but now he has been taken out of the race. But he recommended that all his allies support Harris. That's what we're going to do. We're going to support her. That's first of all and second of all.
So I absolutely love the injection of how these journalists are saying that he was joking. Number one, did he say that he was joking? Maybe he's saying it in a sarcastic manner because obviously, yeah, she'd be my ally, so I'm getting her vote. I'm giving her my vote, right? Because I'm able to do whatever I want to do in Ukraine and take the battle to them and take the territory and so on and so forth, right? So these people are absolutely disgusting how they twist and lie about everything.